As you've heard by now, my name is Llewellyn van Merwe. I am located in Namibia. I have my own company called Vast Development Method. I've been involved in Joomla since 2008, and I developed a component which I made public in 2016 called Joomla Component Builder. Now, we have heard many good reports over the years, and we are very excited and in the direction that this project has been moving, and we have been improving the code considerably. So we have decided to start today's introduction by interviewing some of the people who have been using JCB. So let's get started with that.
Good day, morning, afternoon, evening, night, everybody. Welcome to JoomlaDay USA. My name is Merwe. I've been in Joomla, well, basically since they introduced multilingual, I guess. It's been quite a while. I've been in several positions in Joomla, and currently I'm in the production department. Well, hello, my name is Paul Martin. I studied computer science, and now I'm now as a junior web developer, and I actually had a privilege working alongside Llewellyn from Merwe, helping me out with my final year project. My name is Llewellyn. I'm a web designer from the Netherlands. I've been making websites with Joomla since 2008.
Name is Emmanuel Dano. I'm the lead developer of a French web agency called Agence Agérix. And we are specialized in Joomla integration, on maintenance, and on custom application development with Joomla.
Just one.
With JCB, I developed around 30 components and altogether about 100 extensions.
Currently, I've built probably less than 5. I haven't used JCB for that long yet, but definitely less than 5 proper components for the demo ones. Probably more, and maybe more extensions such as plugins and modules. So, yeah, currently I haven't gone that far yet. Yeah, I think it will be close to 10-ish. Not quite sure. Do a lot of hobbying, just for the sake of trying out stuff. So yeah, that will be around that number.
It's a good question. So I started just before the COVID in September 2019. So it's around 1.5 years.
That would be 5-6 years ago, I guess. Relatively early. I was looking at software factory to make my life easier. Yes. I've currently not started making business yet with JCB, but it has saved me lots of time because I've had to both be doing work and school at the same time. So JCB has allowed me to really do much in a small amount of time. So yes. Yes and no. So it's predominantly indirectly. While the economy has not been favoring me, so the last few years, not much has been going on. But I would say indirectly, yes, because I've done quite some projects
projects for fans for my son. I think you'll see a demo of his website, everycharacter.com, which is basically one JCP component. Done several things for Joomla itself, amongst which is providing a front end for doing the certification program questions for people. So yeah, not directly but indirectly, it saves me a lot of time in doing these things. So yeah, freeing up time for other stuff to actually make money. But I'm fully intended to ramp that up in the near future.
Yes, definitely. Of course, since I've started using JCB, we developed all our custom components with JCB, and so of course we made money with it, of course.
Yes, because the project I've been doing with it wouldn't be possible without JCB for me.
Yes, it did, definitely. JCB allows us to shorten drastically our development flow. It eliminates all the repetitive tasks. Everything we develop is reusable, and the development are easier to maintain. So we make more money in less time.
Yes, now I must admit I haven't looked in the last few months, but what did stand out absolutely was round-trip development. I think basics were already there, and then I pestered you, Llewellyn, to make sure that we could do that just about anywhere. So round-trip development means that you can build your component in the GUI, add tables, add view, list views, stuff like that, generate your component. So a lot of basic stuff can be done through that interface. It generates code that is up to the Joomla standards. It's safe. It frees me up from doing all the basic security stuff. But if you want to do special things, somehow I never seem to be satisfied with just doing the normal stuff. You are required to do changes in locations that aren't accessible through the GUI. Now JCP has albeit a bit obscure feature in adding comments, and you have to really count the brackets and stuff like that, on which you can insert your PHP code or basically any code in your PHP files, your INI files, your JavaScript files. And as soon as you fire up the front end again, the GCP again, it will read back these statements, allowing you to add new stuff in the JCP through the GUI, regenerate again, and then your changes will be reinserted again in the specific location. So I think that is a very, very powerful feature, and that's not the one that I saw, certainly not at that time. I must admit I haven't looked in the last few months. But it allows you to leverage that strength and leverage any innovations that come to JCP through changes that Llewellyn, the author, and the community make. So if there's a new feature in Joomla, say Joomla 4 will introduce workflow, then I could just pick up any old component, load it back in, make sure it has workflow, enable the workflow, recompile again, and then I would have the workflow. But I still, at the same time, I would retain the changes I made in the past that are custom to me, that are bespoke.
Yes, definitely. it, you have to build it with JCB. That was so astonishing, it was good to know or exciting to learn that. So that definitely stood out for me.
The single biggest thing about JCB is the fact that I can create a component from A to Z without ever having to leave JCB to make my component. And when I'm exporting it, I'm building it, I don't touch the package anymore. That's for me is the biggest thing.
It's difficult to isolate something. I love everything in JCB, so it's difficult to answer. I cannot.
Very difficult. I've come to understand in my life that I'm atypical, so what I consider normal is not necessarily normal for other people. At this point in time, there's just one thing that pops into my mind that I've not seen many people use, and that's the ability to read back database tables of let's first say, of a better definition, a traditional component, read back its database tables into JCB, introducing in that way all the fields and definitions into the component, giving you the list views and the edit views in that sense. It's little well known, and yes, still a lot of work needs to be done there because it's not a trivial feature, but it's certainly one that favors the lazy people, of which I consider myself to be a prominent member.
Custom codes. That's a very nice feature. You can just, in JCB, you really have the possibility to keep your code separate, so it's not all one big mess, but you can keep small things and reusable things using custom codes. That's very handy. Another thing, update server. You can just from JCB push the update and people can install it. That's something I really like. Code snippets, what's inside JCB are very handy. Library functions, basically everything.
You can build, like custom fields and custom fields, and you can also do things like building field types. Like the field types that fields are of field types, so you can actually also do that building your field types yourself. You define it yourself in a JCB development environment.
Another feature I really like about JCB is the fact that it shows you when you're exporting a component how much time you save.
Yeah, I would like to underline the Ajax controller because JCB provides you the way to make very easy Ajax queries without having to taking care of the input-output. And you can just focus on your logic to develop Ajax queries. That's for me something very important. I missed it at the beginning, and seeing you working with JCB, I discovered how to do that. And the second feature for me is the custom code and placeholders. You can reuse code snippets everywhere, and you can also make your view reusable in multiple components using the placeholder that will be replaced by on the compiling task.
What I love about JCB is how much time it saves me, not having to do all kinds of boring, repeatable, repetitive work. And also saving me time just means saving my clients time and money. So it makes so that I can create affordable components for my customers.
I would say a working API, so that it will allow for more complex development, like developing from other sources. So I hope that by Joomla 4, JCB will also have its own API, and then you can actually build complex projects from that.
Which is a translation system. Now it has been improved with a new filtering, and it makes you very efficient to give. For example, we are developing a tailor-made application for our clients. Some of these applications are multilingual, and with the JCB translation system, we can just send per email an Excel file to our clients, and they can translate by themselves, and then we just need to import it back, and the application is multilingual.
But on top of my list, on short term, and also has to do with my role in Joomla, is to make sure that we get a feature where we can compile our existing 3.x components into Joomla 4. Because as soon as we show that, it really will show the power of software factory-based extensions, which JCB is, and it will break down a hurdle that we see a lot as soon as we introduce a new feature to Joomla. Extension developers have to look into the fact, okay, there's new stuff there, there's a new model, there's stuff deprecated. We go from repeatable fields to subforms, all these kinds of things. And that's basically something that JCB can take care of. And so the move to Joomla 4 would be very much more easy for everybody, which would mean faster and easier adoption, the faster and stabler version, and in the end it would also facilitate faster release cycles. So yeah, support for Joomla 4, that's on top of my list at this point in time.
Yes, there is, I think basically nearly anything is here. You can always do better. But if I had something to add, would be the ability to create form models in the front end. And maybe also to find a solution to be able to provide multilingual content inside your application with language association or something similar. Maybe not exactly the same than Joomla is using, but at least something different.
I'm sure by now it's been easy to realize that JCB is indeed a very large extension, and that which is most obvious may only be a fraction of what actually is capable to be achieved with Joomla Component Builder. You can get JCB on your own Joomla website. Let me show you how. One of the places that would be a good option is actually the GitHub page of JCB. You can get the GitHub page by going to the Joomla Component Builder website and then clicking on either discussions or open an issue or even the wiki, and it will get you to this GitHub page. And once you're here on the main page, which is really this one, you can click on these releases here and actually find the latest release, which is this download JCB version 2. Well, it might have changed for someone watching the video later. So you'd basically be able to use this link to install JCB into your own website. So going to your own website, you can go to extensions, install, and then from URL, paste that link in here and click on install. Another way, which is just as successful, is actually using the web install itself. So just give this a minute. It's a very large package, so it may take longer, and in some shared hosting it might not even be successful because of the size of the package. So now the other option would be to type in here JCB, search, and you'll see that the first package that comes up there is JCB, and when you click on it, you actually find the path to install it. You click on install, and we could just close this, and you see it basically fetched the same URL as which we used, and you can then click install again, and it will install JCB in exactly the same way. So this shows you that the package comes from the same place. And at this point, you have all the power of JCB in your own Joomla website, which we always advise to be run offline. For that, we have tutorials in our training, and for the reason that it actually is a developing tool and it works best within a local integrated development environment, which is what an IDE is. And that brings us to the next question, which probably is also worth asking. What am I going to show you now? How to import an existing free component. That's one of the things I would like to show you. Also, how to change a view or add a view to a component in the in the JCB way. Then how to edit this component in your own IDE, which is your code editor. And then how JCB will remember that change you made. So that's what I would like to show you. It's just a little fraction of obviously what's possible. So let's get started. In JCB, we are going to use that component that O. Martin developed for his last year in college. And that component's name is eHealth Portal, which is actually a real project which is being made for a traveling clinic here in the north of Namibia. It's not finished, and so it's still in production in a way, or being worked on, but we will be using that today for our demonstration, and we'll also therefore make it public. Everybody else can also look at it and use it and change it. So I showed to you the eHealth portal designed by, well, it was a collaboration of many, but mostly the work being done by O. Martin. And it is already available in the VDM packages. So you saw me on the dashboard click over here. Let me show you again. On this import JCB packages. Then on the packages, we went to the VDM packages. This is then the e-portal that we want to install. So what are these? These are like blueprints of existing components that has been developed or is under development. And so this is a way for you to get packages which either you've built or others have built, since it also has, you can also install these packages from a URL or from a directory, or upload them manually from your own computer. We'll be using this repository. And yes, you are welcome to check out the community repository and actually add some of your public packages there if you like. So getting back to what we're doing, importing this eHealth portal, it actually will take a while because it's a very large project. There's a way for you to get the key for that project. So if you clicked here on the, let me see, the bottom of the page, this get key from VDM, you'll land on a page that actually explains to you how to get the key. I already got the key here, so I'm just going to paste it in here. And this, what component we are importing information seems correct. And we also always check the checksum that it actually agrees with what's found on this page here, and make sure that that is the HTTPS raw githubcontent.com, the actual page on GitHub. Okay, so now we import this package. So during this import, what is happening is we are putting the blueprint into this current JCB, which means that now all the fields that were created for this component, all the views that was created, everything that was done is now inside this Joomla website backend in this JCB extension. So if we would open this extension, you would see that it has all its admin views here, and it doesn't have any side views. And we are busy working on this queue area, which we're calling patient queue. There's still a lot of work to be done. And so it's a good tool that we could use to sort of demonstrate JCB. So this is the admin area, or rather the admin area of the component. So we're looking at the component settings and all the views linked to it. Now, there are lots and lots of tutorials, and I'll show you that at the end of this demonstration. Okay, so in the custom admin views, we will now see this patient queue, which is the actual area that we are now working on. And you can see there's also some code already been added here as we are trying out this or the other. I'm not going to try and explain to you all the intricacies of JCB today, just not enough time. But I'm going to show you that just taking a little string and adding it in here is going to show up on the front end of the site and give us the ability to work with it. So we'll say JoomlaDay USA. And maybe let's put that into H1 tags. I know this is generic, but it'll serve our purpose. And save and close. Now we're going to compile this component, which is where JCB takes all these things that has been done in the GUI interface and actually builds the component code on the fly. So the component code, the code that runs in Joomla, actually has not been generated yet. And we'll be doing that right now. So we don't need to put this in a repository or backup, which is part of things you need to learn and know what it's about. We'll choose the ePortal, make sure that this is our information is correct. We don't want custom code placeholders. Actually, you know what? This we want, because we want to show you how to edit this in the IDE. Now you need your custom code placeholders to edit code in the IDE. JCB automatically adds placeholders for you where areas of JCB in the GUI where you have been working on code gets placed in the project, so that when you then in your IDE go to that place, you can change that code and JCB will become aware of it and actually update the code in itself. So that's one of the round-trip development concepts which Marco mentioned earlier. Okay, the package has been built. That means basically 150,000 lines of code has been written. That within 6 seconds. So this is a little bit of the statistics that was also mentioned by Tom, which he finds quite interesting. I'm going to install a component here on this website, and then we're going to go to the IDE. In our IDE, we can now go to this component. Here it is. And we're going to go to the views. And then we are going to look at, let's see, what is it called? Patient queue, there it is. And we're going to open that area. So you saw me put in the code in the IDE, or rather in JCB's GUI. And so here is that code now. And you see that JCB added these comments. So basically JCB is saying, this is a JCB GUI section. So this whole section from the beginning of this comment to the end of this comment, you'll see that it has a closing bracket. This section comes from a specific area in JCB. So we can actually change this code here by adding a diamond, a diamond in here where there was a dot. And then let's just say, and more equals many. Okay. So that's a little change in the code we've added, and then we can go back to JCB. Well, obviously need to save this. So we've now saved it, and we can go back to JCB, and we can just compile the component again. Now this time I didn't compile it with those placeholders. So when we install it again now, those placeholders will be gone. So we're installing it again. Before we go to the IDE, let's go back to that view and let's look at the change. So it actually updated our GUI with the change, and more equals many. And now let's close out this and let's look at the IDE. And we see that our placeholder code snippet is now gone because we have now finished our edit, and here is our code that we've added from the IDE, placed back into JCB. Now this is the more convenient and easy way, I suppose, to work in the IDE. But what if you wanted to change an area which doesn't come from the IDE? So let's say we open this area here, and you may not like the way we set up this function in the display. Now, first of all, when that happens, I would ask you, come to GitHub, open the issue, tell us we messed up, and help us fix it. We always want to improve the project, and when we fix it for you, we fix it for everyone. And can you see how that kind of collaboration can actually strengthen and enable many people to do good programming? Anyway, so let's say we want to make a change in this area. Maybe not something that's done wrong, maybe just something we want to add. I always advise developers to try and first do it in JCB see if there's a place in JCB that can do this. But as a final result, we can actually add an insert set of code. So to add code here, we use what is known as the insert tags. So these two tags, as you can see, it has an opening tag and a closing tag. This is the closing part of it. I'm just going to use this code as an example and maybe change this to moon and then light, something like this. And so maybe that's the code I want to add into my project. And I couldn't find a place in JCB and I wanted to add this code somewhere. So we've added the code and we can now go back to JCB. Compile the project again, just like we did before. Once this is complete, we can install the component. And going back to our code, we see that our placeholders is gone, but our code that we've added, oh, sorry, I didn't change to the IDE. Our placeholders are gone and the code that we've added remained intact. So JCB is able to remember by these code snippets, and there are a few, this insert, there's even an update, or a replace instead. And these code snippets can be used anywhere in PHP, HTML, and JavaScript. Now, just to show you what happened in JCB, which is also actually quite smart, going back to the GUI again. We have an area called custom codes. I'm going to open that. And you'll see that it now has this eHealth portal and a path to the actual file that was changed. If we open that file, we will, well, not file, item, we'll see that now there's our code. That's the actual addition we made. So we could come in here and say, Joomla rocks, save and close, go to our compiler and compile our component again. And this time around, we've actually edited our code in a place in JCB, which creates a little window into our code base in our IDE. And let's see, what is it saying here? Okay, that's not relevant. We installed it. And we go back here and we see in the IDE, that's a protected word. Okay, it still moved the code. So we see in the IDE that it added our changes that we made back into the code. And we can again here add more code in here. Oh, wait, it won't work. If we wanted to actually make it work, what we should do is just add placeholders like that and compile the component again. So what it will do now is it will place placeholders back into the code again so that we can make a change and not lose that change. So the placeholders is currently a convenient way to avoid a very big load of dependencies within this type of implementation. So now you can see it again added those placeholders. Oh, I need to show you in the IDE. It added those placeholders in for us. If we want to update our code, we need to add a diamond here. This is a little different because it needs a diamond to be added on the opening code and the closing code. And now we can actually, we can add that, save, and compile again. So just like we did with the earlier change we made to that one view, we add some code in the JCB area, then we went to the IDE, we changed the code, it reflected back into the JCB area. Now this has again happened. We have now again made changes in the IDE. If we go back to the IDE now, we see that those changes are remembered. They were not lost. And if we go back into Joomla again, into JCB, to the custom code area, we'll see that that custom code was again updated and reflects the changes as well. Now, this is just a little bit of a demonstration of the power of JCB. And I realized that JCB, once we move it over to Joomla 4, we are going to actually enter a period of the JCB community, which will be phenomenal. Because I know the actual progress that JCB brings to the maintenance path of any extension is really amazing. Every time since I started this project 5 years ago, or more or less, I've developed all my extensions, nearly 100 components at this point, in Joomla Component Builder. And every time Joomla made a change, and many of my extensions were impacted by that, all I had to do was to go and improve Component Builder, Joomla Component Builder JCB, and compile those extensions, and all of them were immediately restored and able to function. And I could push updates to all of them almost simultaneously. So JCB has afforded me a tremendous advantage in the marketplace, and I really would like all of you to join in this this advantage.
Okay, so that's been my pre-recorded part of the talk. I realize there's probably much more to be said. We have a jug now at the moment, started for JCB. So we meet once a month where we try to just collaborate, share ideas, and actually support those who use JCB. Is there any questions?
Yes, we do have a question from Neil. He was asking if he's using PHP Runner, and he was wondering if he could integrate some of the apps that he built with it into Joomla with JCB.
Yes, so JCB has no idea what IDE you are using. That placeholders are basically JCB himself really searching through every line of your code every time you compile. So you could use any IDE with JCB. We use PHP Storm, but JCB was originally born in NetBeans. I've actually worked in NetBeans for quite some time. And I know many others are using, very different IDEs. And so the functionality I demonstrated here today has no direct limitation towards any IDE, actually.
All right, and this is the only question we have so far. So if anybody has another question, don't hesitate. We have a couple more minutes. Otherwise, I don't know. I put a poll in here, so if you can say, okay, how many people have been using JCB before today? We do have 75% of people who said no. There's a yes. There are 4 votes. So there's a yes. I suspect it's Tom's because he's in the talk.
And now me.
And he was in your video. So I think that's it. Thank you very much, Llewellyn, and that was a great thing. I think I'm going to start using JCB for my yeah. All right. Thanks. Oh, there's a questions from Tom. Maybe no. Let's see. I don't see another question though, guys. Oh, above here in the chat. Oh, how can we join the JCB jug?
Well, let me see. I could show you there quickly. So on our website, there's 2 ways to do this. On our website, there is a link called Join JCB Jug, which basically gives you a way to join a newsletter whereby we send out announcements and the next meeting date. But if you are using JCB, let me just quickly log in here. Just hold on. Almost there. Oh, wrong button. Irritating. Okay, so when you're using JCB, there is an announcement area next to the compiler, which also tells you of the next meeting time. You can see it in relation to your time zone. And also the room we'll be using. Everybody's always welcome. And before every meeting, we actually at the same area open a doodle where you can also check the times which might suit you. This information also gets sent out to that newsletter. So we have these 2 areas where we're trying to communicate with everybody who's interested in being there.
All right. Thank you very much, Llewellyn. And there's one more question, but we won't have time to answer it. If you want to talk to Llewellyn, you can do it in the private talks during the whole event. So don't hesitate to contact him and ask him your questions. He's around. So thank you very much all, and see you in other sessions. Thanks, Llewellyn.
Thank you very much for the time and opportunity.
Thank you.